Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Asus ROG Ally in Cyberpunk 2077. Now, we're gonna be using the game charger dock. I'm gonna connect it through USB-C to the ROG Ally right here, and I'm gonna be looking up at my monitor because I'll be using an external capture card and an external monitor to capture gameplay without performance losses. We're also gonna be using MSI Afterburner as well as RTSS to show the on-screen display with CPU, GPU utilizations, FPS averages, 1% lows, and so on. You can see the driver that we're using right here as well. You can see all of the GPU specs here in Tech Power Up's GPU Z. And as this one is the Ryzen Z1 Extreme version, we got 768 shading units right there. You can also see the CPU here in Task Manager as well, 8 cores, 16 threads, and 12 gigabytes of available system RAM because the other 4 are reserved for the GPU. Let's get into the game now, shall we? Let's go over the settings now. We're starting at 1080p resolution, which is the native res for the ROG Ally, using low textures, and everything else is set to the lowest. It's not the low settings preset, it's actually lowest settings because I manually selected every single setting to the lowest, okay? These are the settings right here, and let's get to it, finally. Base game is first. Alright, it seems like we're getting 40-something frames per second right here, although those 1% lows are probably going to be very low because the frame time graph is quite a bit stuttery. It's not really that noticeable, honestly. If I wasn't looking at the frame time graph, I would never say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, this is the police. Oh my god." God damn it. It did stutter a little bit there, by the way, when the police actually noticed that we were bumping into him. But yeah, I would never have guessed that this is getting 17 FPS, 1% lows, because it does feel alright, especially on a controller, you know. So this is just how the game runs on APUs, basically. Let's go, bump into Bob. There we go. Goodbye, Bob. Do not call for Jesus. Don't you dare. You're a demon, Bob. Anyways, GPU utilization seems to be maxed out most of the time right here, which is to be expected, obviously. This game is super GPU intensive, and it feels pretty alright. Again, guys, this is native 1080p resolution, and it's getting 42 FPS on a handheld device. Now, this is with turbo mode and plugged in at the same time. If you are not plugged in, the turbo mode will be at 25 watts instead of 30 watts, and you will eat through battery in like less than an hour, probably. So, it's not really recommended to play on battery, you know, but if you do, expect like 10% less performance here. So next up, I'm gonna try it with quality FSR. This is usually a setting that I recommend in Cyberpunk 2077 because it actually looks really good compared to native resolution, and obviously in the the ROG Ally's display, it's gonna look fantastic with the use of FSR, you know? Like, it's a very tiny display, you can't really notice many shimmery edges and stuff like that on such a small screen, and it's gonna work really well. Even at like balanced FSR, it should look pretty alright. Now, it seems like it's a little bit smoother, you know? The frame time graph is still a little bit crazy there, but there's nothing you can do about that. Even locking the FPS to 30, for example, it still has some little spikes and issues there, although it's going to become a little bit smoother, but you know, if you're not really looking at it, it's going to be fine. This is also a very intensive thing that we're doing here in this benchmark video. Obviously, like, it's a benchmark video, I want to show you close to worst case scenario, at least, if not worst case scenario. If you get out of the car and just run around, it becomes very easy to run compared to driving around. You can actually aim a little bit better than inside of cars and stuff like that. You know what? Oh my god, damn it. I want the police car right now. Come on, let me in, let's go. Good stuff. So these are not bad results whatsoever, but sometimes you can feel a few stutters. Again, guys, you know what? I'm gonna exemplify something here. So I locked the FPS here in RivaTuner Statistics server to 30 frames per second. This is much better than the built-in FPS lock inside of Cyberpunk 2077. And now it should be a more stable experience, but as I told you guys, we will still experience a little bit of stuttering here and there. Although right now, it definitely feels better. So I think I will recommend you to do this, alright? And CPU usages, RAM utilization as well, VRAM utilizations are totally under control. So I think this is the way to play this game. Maybe add a little bit of motion blur as well, and you'll be good to go. It can actually achieve a smooth frame time graph. So that was quite good, but now I'm gonna show you the Phantom Liberty DLC. Pay attention to that frame time graph because, yeah, it stutters quite a lot more. I would say that this is not really as enjoyable for sure, and it might actually be unplayable to some of you people out there. What the hell? Did that one just jump? Yes, it just fell now. Whoa, that was sick. Okay, kind of weird physics right there. But yeah, at least at the beginning, there were... Oh no, it's not only at the beginning, guys. It is a lot more stuttery over here. You can also see that VRAM is up there, touching like 4 gigabytes of usage almost. And the RAM is also up there, almost touching 12 gigabytes sometimes. So if I had to guess, I think it's because we are running out of system memory here, guys. That's why it's stuttering in this particular area of the map. There are more details as well to be rendered and so on, and it just needs a little bit more RAM as well as VRAM. Well, not so much VRAM, but a little bit more RAM for sure. Okay, now I disabled the FPS lock, and look at that, guys. Still getting way lower, 1% lows than we were seeing before. They're at 14, they're below 20 frames per second. Yeah, they might even hit single digits in just a little bit, guys. It's just not an enjoyable experience, in my opinion, in the Phantom Liberty DLC, at least in Dogtown. And now let's go back to the base game and play with 15 watts performance mode. Okay, I'm not counting the FPS yet, because if you take a look at the power, it's using 20 watts or 19 watts sometimes, and it's only gonna run at these values for about like 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it's gonna drop to 15 watts and stay there for the duration of the gameplay. Okay, it's starting to drop now, 15 watts, there we go. After like 2 minutes, exactly. We've also seen this behavior in GTA 5 yesterday. Whenever I change the performance modes, it usually sticks to a higher wattage at first, especially at 30 watts as well. It hits 46, 47, 48 watts maximum sometimes. It's interesting, but then it drops down to 30 watts. There isn't much of a difference there though, but here between 20 and 15 watts there is a huge difference. As you can see, now we're actually dropping from 30 frames per second, guys. Yeah, near Bob it's probably gonna drop even further, because that guy is a benchmark ruiner, of course. He hates benchmarking, that's why he's here in the most intensive area. Oh boy, no. We turned this into Cyberpunk again. Oh crap. Okay, let's get out of the car. It might explode or something. This is not normal whatsoever. Bob, where are you? Where did he go? Oh my god, even walking around, guys, it is dropping a lot. Damn, I thought walking around would get us way higher FPS, because again, it's way less intensive than driving around, but that's not the case with 15 watts of power. You can also see that whenever I'm moving around, the CPU is actually the bottleneck here. 15 watts is not enough to power both the CPU and the GPU in this particular title and achieve 30 plus FPS. Although it gets really close, and that's super impressive, because this is a package. 15 watts is being distributed between the CPU and the GPU once again, but it's just not enough for Cyberpunk. Alright, I set it to performance FSR now, which still looks really reasonable on the Ally's display. Okay, and now we're getting 30-ish FPS. It definitely improved some things here. Oh boy. Okay. No, it's too stuttery right here, guys, and it still dips into the 20s. Look at that, 27 there. Yep. So 15 watts, it is out of the question. Okay, now what about silent mode at 10 watts? In this mode, it actually caps it to 10 or 9 watts instantly. You don't need to wait like a couple of minutes at a higher wattage. It just gets completely wrecked. There is no way this is going to be playable even at 720p, right? Getting 12 FPS, 50% GPU utilization. The sound is stuttery, guys. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. All right, now I'm gonna play with performance FSR 2, lowest settings again, and 1080p resolution. And I want to aim for 60 frames per second. That's why I'm testing this like this. Okay, it's turbo mode as well. It's boosting up to 40-something watts, as you can see. And as I told you, it's gonna be there for a couple of minutes. But yeah, even with the 43 watts right now, it's still not enough to achieve 60 FPS. So if you want 60 FPS, at least at 1080p, it's not going to be possible unless you wrecked the visuals completely and play at like 360p. Is it 360p when you set it to Ultra Performance FSR? Is there even an Ultra Performance FSR? Goodbye, Bob. That was a nice Bob death, you know? Yes, there is an Ultra Performance FSR setting right here. Let's see if it gets 60 FPS. Nope. It just gets CPU bound before we can reach the 60 FPS mark, guys. So, again, I think 1080p quality FSR, lowest settings is the way to go, and either lock it to 30 FPS or like 40 frames per second. That should also work pretty well and be a little bit smoother and have fun like that. Okay guys, we're still playing at 1080p now using the Steam Deck settings, but I'm gonna change the texture quality, set that to low, because we were already kind of running out of VRAM, or at least going near the limits, as well as the RAM limits, especially in the DLC, so I'm gonna keep that on low. It's better. FSR is set to balanced by default. These are the settings. I'm gonna keep motion blur enabled and depth of field and stuff. I'm not gonna touch anything over here, okay? And yeah, let's try that out. And we still see exactly the same frame time spikes issues that we saw previously. So maxing out that GPU utilization 100% of the time won't really improve our frame times, unfortunately. And I'm really impressed about the FPS that we're getting. We're still in the 40s. And we're not on lowest settings anymore. It looks way better than it did before. And remember guys, the Steam Deck actually has a resolution of 1280 by 800, and then it puts FSR balanced on top of that. This is putting FSR balanced on top of 1080p resolution at the moment. I think we're gonna stick with these settings for the lower resolutions. So the low settings portion of this video was for those of you who really want the most stable experience, I guess. But I wouldn't really go for the most stable in this particular scenario, okay? Since we can't really get 60 FPS anyways, or smooth frame times at lowest settings, I say just set it to the Steam Deck settings, which look like 10 times better, I guess. Like you got reflections now, and ambient occlusion and so on. It looks really, really decent. And play like this, guys. Okay, I'm gonna try performance mode here, okay? Let's see. Ooh. All right, instantly switched this time around to 15 watts. It's actually at 14 watts at the moment. A little bit lower than it should be. But yeah, it's getting those 20-something FPS once again, so it's not going to be doable. Let's go to turbo mode again. Way, way better. Damn. Oh, now it's boosting up to 52 watts. Look at that. Damn. Let's check it out in the DLC again. I'm curious. Maybe because we don't have as much of a CPU bottleneck using these settings, it's mostly GPU bound. It could run a little bit better, but I doubt it, because again, I think the memory is the issue in the DLC. Oh, no, 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 no. Those 1% lows are already in the single digits. No. I mean, what was I expecting, right? We are playing with higher settings than previously, and previously it was stuttering a lot. I just had that a little bit of hope, you know, guys. Oh, damn it. Now, Phantom Liberty, at least in Dogtown, is just gonna run like crap no matter what. And here, for some reason, maybe because the game isn't as dark and it's daytime and I can notice the details a little bit better, yeah, the motion blur is just killing the image completely, at least to me, guys. I'm not liking the motion blur here. Okay, let's check it out at 900p resolution using the same Steam Deck settings with balanced FSR, and the rest of the settings are still the same. I'm actually going to set motion blur to low this time because I think it's not as exaggerated on low as it was previously. Yeah, it looks a little bit better than previously in my opinion. Start counting our FPS. Don't you mess with me. What did you say? What did you say to me? You know that I got the... Whoa, 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 whoa! What did I do? Why is that green? What? Okay, that's really weird. Is this my nemesis now? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I gotta say, guys, 900p on this display still looks very good. I'm not really playing on this display. I'm playing on a 42-inch TV in front of me, but I've played GTA 5, for example, at 900p in this display. It looks very, very good. This is with balanced FSR, of course, but I can tell you by looking at the 42-inch TV detail and stuff like that, that on a 7-inch monitor, it's gonna look pretty decent. And now instead of getting like, what, 40 FPS average that we were seeing previously at 1080p with balanced FSR, we're now bumping that up to 45. Still a little bit stuttery here and there when you're driving really fast. Goodbye, Bob. Please die again. You know, I'm curious to see it on the actual ROG Ally's display. Because with this amount of motion blur and balanced FSR on top of 900p, not sure if it's gonna look that great. I'm like 90% sure it will, but I gotta see it with my own eyes, because I haven't seen that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is stop it there. We got 44 average, a little bit of an improvement in terms of smoothness compared to 1080p, a little bit lower RAM utilization as well, maybe, and VRAM as well. And I'm gonna stop the recording. Here it is. Wow, no, this is sick. 7 inches with 900p with the settings that we were utilizing works extremely well, guys. Damn. Yep. I don't think there is a reason to play at 1080p. Okay, let's check it out with 15-watt performance mode. And after 2 minutes of waiting, we're down into the same... Oh my god, 20-something FPS. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's pretty crappy with 15 watts, even at 900p with balanced FSR, guys. Pretty much the same thing as it was previously, right? I guess. Maybe slightly better, but we are again CPU bound. The frequency of the CPU, which is not showing on the on-screen display, unfortunately, is way too low now for Cyberpunk. If I enable the real-time monitor of the ROG Ally, you can see it. Yeah, the CPU is at 30-something% there, which is very different from what MSI Afterburner says. I believe Afterburner a little bit more, actually. And you can see that CPU frequency is at 1380-something megahertz, which is really low and not suitable for Cyberpunk. That's why we get very low results. Even at 720p, it won't really be playable. And lastly, to no one's surprise, 10 watts is the same crap as before. It's not doable whatsoever. It's interesting though, because the Steam Deck, when it's running at 10 watts, for example, if you kept the FPS to like 25 or something, it will be close to that value, I guess. And it's gonna be a much better experience than this. It's a more efficient chip when you are down into the 10 to 15 watt range. Also, I just enabled the Ally's on-screen display. It's getting below 1 gigahertz on the CPU. That's really low, guys. Yep, that's what's killing performance, obviously, once again. Okay, that's it for 900p. Let's move on to 720. Oh, look at this, guys. We're finally getting 60 frames per second, although that is with 42 watts of power and just standing still, of course, which is very, very easy to run. As soon as you start driving, it drops a little bit to a bit better values than what we saw at 900p, that's for sure. I'm gonna start counting the FPS until it drops to 30 watts, and then when it does, I'm gonna restart the counting system again at 30 watts flat. Remember, for the first 2 minutes, every single time, you're gonna see a little bit boosted performance than the rest of the gameplay session. Bob? Yeah, there he is. There he is. Wait, it's not Bob. Yeah, that is Bob. That is Bob. Oh, what? What did you say? Goodbye, Bob! That's what I got to say to you. Alright, anyway, getting 52 frames per second so far. It's pretty good. Once again, balanced FSR looks probably okay here in this game. I still gotta check it out. I'm gonna stop it there. 51 FPS average and 25 1% lows. Again, the 1% lows aren't really indicative of the performance that you get, really, because of all of the little frame time spikes. It feels okay, it feels smooth, it's definitely playable. Okay, I'm on the ROG Ally's display, guys, and it starts looking a little bit rougher for sure at 720p with balanced FSR, so I think I'm gonna switch it to quality. Yeah, I think quality is definitely the way to go at 720p resolution. If you're interested in taking a closer look at it, not sure how it's gonna come up on camera, but that's it. Let's move on to the recording again with the capture card. Okay, we're finally at the 30 watt mark, and let's do this, guys. Quality DLSS at 720p resolution, which actually ends up looking a little bit sharper than native resolution because of the sharpening, although also a little bit more shimmery. But in the actual ROG Ally's display at 7 inches, it still looks acceptable. And again, the the Steam Deck, with these settings, runs balanced FSR with a similar resolution to the one that we're playing on at the moment, and people play like that, I guess. Maybe there's just a few settings here and there, but yeah, it's gonna look similar on the display of the PC. Okay, let's go over here. A little bit of a stutter there, dropping our 1% lows probably, but not bad, not terrible, I guess. And again, if you cap it to 30 FPS or 35 or yeah, I guess 35 is a good idea with that drop over there. It is gonna stay there and it's gonna be flat, the frame time graph, and it's gonna be a much smoother experience. Gosh, I'm stuck here again. Damn it! But I think that's it for the test here in the base game. We've been here already. 46 FPS is what we get. You know, it doesn't really change by all that much compared to 1080p. So if you want to lock the FPS, you might want to go with 1080p res, actually. Alright, let's see the DLC here. 1% lows are already way lower than they were in the base game after the entire benchmark run. I am still gonna test it at like lowest settings, 720p with like performance FSR here, okay? I'm actually gonna do it right now because I want to find out if we can get a smooth experience or at least a more stable one with these settings in the DLC, right? Because otherwise, you just can't really play the DLC. Also, yeah, we got ray tracing. We can utilize ray tracing. I totally forgot about that. Okay, here we go, guys. Start counting our FPS. It's already starting to stutter quite a bit. Yep, it's still the same crap, guys. Oh, man. But now, the RAM utilization as well as the VRAM utilizations aren't really that high. So I guess if you want to play Cyberpunk, go ahead and play the base game, but do not buy the Phantom Liberty DLC to play on the ROG Ally. At least I don't recommend it after seeing the performance here, guys. Okay, we're back here, guys, still using the lowest settings with performance FSR. Does not look absolutely terrible. Once again, I don't recommend it with these visuals, but hey, you can still see things, I guess. But I want to see it with ray tracing, just to end the video, okay? So I'm gonna use like ray trace reflections, because in my opinion, that's one of the best features of ray tracing. Ray traced shadows, I'm gonna skip those, and I'm gonna use some ray trace lighting on medium. Yep, definitely medium. No path trace. Wait, we can actually use path tracing on the ROG Ally. Wait a second, that's gonna be fun. Holy crap. Okay. This is real time, guys. Yeah. Okay, it was just applying, I guess. Whoa, it's actually working with 30 FPS. That's sick. I really thought it was gonna get like 5 FPS or something like that. For reference, on a GTX 1660 Ti, I could actually run ray tracing once upon a time in this game, like back near release, and it was getting 5 FPS on that GPU because it doesn't have any RT cores or any RT technology. This is way better. Holy crap, dude. That's actually crazy. Whoa. All right. This is just gonna be stupid now, okay? Path tracing enabled, and it's applied now. Path tracing is way more intensive and way more expensive on hardware than ray tracing is. Did it just crash on me? Maybe? This is no surprise, okay? I'm still gonna try to restart the game and run it with path tracing, but I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, guys, so bad news. I cannot get inside of the game anymore on the ROG Ally because it flatlines, it crashes every time I click play. Yep, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for sticking by until the end, if that's the case. And I hope it was informative to you guys. Let me know if Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that you would consider playing on a system like this. And I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.